You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek.
Altered Geek. Get altered. Geek. Altered Geek. From Star Wars to Star Trek, comics to tech. Altered Geek. Get altered. Geek. Altered Geek. Pull up a chair 'cause you're an altered geek.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host Steve Megatron Phillips, and in this episode I am going to be covering quite a few things that I've been gathering since the episode that I recorded last. And the previous episode I released on a Wednesday. You might be asking why. There's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is because it seems like Wednesday seems to be the day that the shows taper off. So it's been kind of a nice way to kind of keep track in the statistics. So I'm kind of waiting to see how well the previous episode does by releasing on Wednesday instead of the Friday. However, this episode, I'm not quite sure what date it will come out. I'm going to try and... I want to kind of do twice a week episodes on this show. And it's more so because there's a lot of news, geeky stuff, tech stuff, a lot of stuff that I kind of like to talk about. And it gives me an opportunity to kind of cleanse my my favorites menu that I've created for this show at times. Just by things that have caught my eye. First of all, I've seen Logan. The show, that movie is by far one of my favorite superhero movies. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Deadpool, but this not only is a nice bookend for Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman as Xavier and Wolverine, respectively. It sets off a new direction. It's a new timeline. I liked the nod to the Weapon X program and Stryker and how they explained the death of all the mutants and how they went away and who was to fault. The nods to the comics, which were written custom for the movie. They weren't actual X-Men comics, but they were done by Marvel Comics. Overall, it was just a really good film. The villains were a little weak, which I'll have to agree with Movie Revolt Dan on that. But the narrative was more so Wolverine and his end cap to his entire saga. From the boy that fought in like the Civil War and on through to this modern era. He's really old. There's something killing him from the inside, which is why his body's slowly deteriorating. His healing factor isn't what it once was. There aren't that many mutants left. So it's a very nice book ending to it. I won't spoil what happens. I was surprised by the twist in the last half an hour of the movie of what they did. X-23 is awesome. The X-24, which everybody was confused about, that's got a good answer in it for it as well. So it kind of brings Wolverine full circle and caring about everything that happened. It's a good film. You have to watch it. That's going to be one of the ones I have to own. It was better than Deadpool. And it's by far one of the greatest X-Men films. I would say even better than a lot of the DC. It's not hard to beat right now, but Marvel, I think it's way up there. I think this is going to hold up really well. In addition to that, there's going to be a black and white version for the Blu-ray release. There might be a deleted scene about Jean Grey just in conversation. Kind of explaining a little bit. There is a nod back to the first X film. There's not really anything else from any of the other films kind of referenced in this. But it sounds like Hugh Jackman may get the opportunity to help say who becomes the next Wolverine from the sounds of it. So we'll see what happens. So speaking of films, This is an actor that I think is overused. He's this year's Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Depp, and that would be Jared Leto because of Suicide Squad last year as the Joker. By far one of the worst Jokers I've ever seen in animated or live action. I hated this Joker with a passion. It's so bad to me. Yes, it's an artistic thing, but I still think Ledger was the best live action and Hamill is the best voice, so neither here nor there. But anyways, there's a Tron reboot in the works, and I'm hoping that this isn't an actual reboot. I'm hoping it's a continuation of Legacy, because they set it up really nicely that they could or they could not have kept Jeff Bridges by the end of the film. So it's kind of a what's going to happen now. They do have Flynn's son, and they do have Olivia Wilde's character coming from the grid to the live, real life. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they do live action, like a reboot with this live action, or if they're going to go the route of doing Tron 3 and doing it as a new like trilogy, but using this new one as like the stepping off point, which I would be fine with. And if he's going to play anybody, I would rather it be somebody I didn't have to see him, like maybe Tron under the suit or a new version of Tron. That I could get behind. If he's going to play a villain, which I could see, like maybe he's the new Master Control or Master Computer from the first one, which would be kind of interesting, or a virus infiltrating the grid, which would be another interesting take. So I mean, I could see it. I don't like the actor. I don't like him. He's a method actor. I don't like a lot of the stuff he does. I have no problem with most people that do this, but it gets old after a while. Benedict Cumberbatch, I think, has finally gotten out of the hot seat. He's Doctor Strange now and still Sherlock and everything, but I don't think he's like the hottest thing right now. I think it's become Jared Leto. And as things have happened, Johnny Depp, look at him, how many films he's done, and he's coming back for a fifth Pirates film, which may or may not be the last one. And people are burnt out on seeing him become something else or having him in the movies. So I think that's going to happen with Leto as well, but time will tell on that. So there's been some new sci-fi news, I should say. Star Wars Rebels renewed for a fourth season. No surprise there. Star Trek Destiny, or Discovery, I don't know why I keep calling it Destiny, but Discovery has cast its new captain. And to be fair, it's Jason Isaacs, who was in Harry Potter, among other things, and he's going to be playing Captain Lorca, the captain of the Starship Discovery. Among other people will be The Walking Dead's Sonequa, Martin Green as Rainsford, a Lieutenant Commander, Doug Jones as Science Officer Saru, Anthony Rapp as Science Officer Stamets, James Frayne as Sarek, a Vulcan philanthropist or physicist, Spock's father, Terry Serpico as Starfleet Admiral Adnerson, Malik Pankali as Chief Medical Officer Nambu, and Sam Bartholomeos as Junior Starfleet Officer Connor. And then they've got a couple other starship captains and Klingon commanding officers and leaders and whatnot. And it's a 13-episode series that's kind of had a rocky start to get going, because it was supposed to come out in January and it's delayed to May, and then it's probably going to be late summer or early fall before it comes out. Brian Fuller exited the show. I mean, it's kind of a mess when you think about it, but they don't really... I don't know. I want to like this, but I'm not... I'm going to have to wait, but I'm not particularly thrilled. So, Star Wars The Last Jedi, they've gotten some description and some footage where Daniel N. Miller on Twitter has said, "We just saw more Star Wars: The Last Jedi footage. In it, Luke asks Rey, 'Who are you?' Then we see her deftly hand a lightsaber. Also making appearance in Last Jedi footage, Chewbacca, General Organa, and Finn. The last thing in the footage, they saw all sorts of settings, mountains, oceans, forests, deserts, very exotic stuff. An X-Wing wobbling midair. Basically, I think that's going to be where Luke trains. He's probably got his X-Wing hidden somewhere around there, and he's training... I can't remember her name right now. The actress is Rey, who's going to be... They'll probably do the Yoda thing, where she's lifting the X-Wing. I'm almost betting that they're going to parallel a lot of Obi-Wan and Yoda's teachings in this. So it'll be interesting. And then they said Organa was only on screen for a minute in military garb and didn't speak. So, who knows? I just can't wait to see the trailer, which will probably come out during their celebration, Star Wars celebration time. So that will be interesting. Another thing that kind of popped up, I forgot when this was coming out, and I'm glad I came across it again the other day. It kind of popped up on my social meter. Prison Break returns April 4th on Fox. I am so excited to see this. Not only do you have the brothers back at it, and you have all the last remaining 5 of the escapees from Fox River jail in the beginning of the series, season 1. But you've got them all working together to get Michael out of this 5-year crap fest that he's been stuck in this jail in the Middle East. And it's kind of interesting. I hope that they explain how he got there from the end of the movie of season 4. And it's only 9 episodes, so he's not going to stay in jail long. It'll probably be the first episode or second episode, and he gets out. And then the rest of it's them running to get out of the country as a fugitive. So, yeah, I'm wondering how he got thrown in jail in the first place, unless they had somebody bury him, basically. But, again, I can't wait to see this. It's been way too long. And he hasn't played Captain Cold very much in Legends of Tomorrow or The Flash. But he's going to be recurring as a ghost, as it were. So, yeah, so I'm really excited to see this show. Can't wait for it to come out. Mystery Science Theater 3000 revival, first look and release date is coming. Felicia Day's in it, Patton Oswalt's in it, a couple other people from other places. But yeah, they're going to have... it's going to be... that's coming out in April as well on Netflix. And it was a great show back then, so it should be fun to see what they come up with now. Hopefully spoofing some modern day films that are really, really dumb. Among other items coming are a new Bill Nye the Science Guy show, which is called Bill Nye Saves the World, and it's more of an audience setting of the show, and it's got a lot of his old Bill Nye the Science Guy isms in it. But Netflix is coming out with this April 21st, and they're bringing it back to teach a new generation, which is kind of awesome. I was a big fan of the show back when it aired the first time, so I'm going to be catching this. Hopefully they have something I have nothing knowledgeable in. I totally am down for this. The trailer's kind of cool, too, as well. And he kind of breaks down some statistics of stuff with subscribing to Netflix in one of the teasers. So Deadpool 2 had an official teaser trailer come out. It's I'm unsure if it came out during Logan or like at the end or at the beginning. But it's got Stan Lee in it. It's got Deadpool noticing somebody's getting mugged in an alleyway, and he jumps into a telephone booth to change and is like, I didn't know they still had these. And he goes in there to change, all the while this guy is pleading for help in the alley. But just go watch it if you haven't seen it. I don't want to ruin it. It's pretty funny still. The Adam Sandler movie, Sandy Wexler. It's such a tongue twister. April 14th comes out as well. Which, again, I'll see it. I don't think it's going to be very good, but I'll still see it. Jumping into the land of superheroes for a second. Accelerated Man apparently made a appearance during the attack on Central City. The follow-up to it. And I somehow completely missed this. But he's from Earth 19, and I didn't even know that this was something, but the Accelerated Man is a Speed Force conduit, and he's basically their Flash during King George's era. I think I've seen something of this somewhere, I just didn't know what it was. Yeah, so he may make an appearance with the Flash and Barry and his team to come back in time or go to that alternate universe with him, which could be interesting. Yeah, I'll be interested to find out more about that. So Thor 3, apparently they're trying to make it more fun by having the Hulk in it, having Thor on this, basically Planet Hulk type of movie. They cut Hemsworth's hair and redid his costume as Thor, so it's more gritty. I kind of dig this a little bit because they're giving another evolution of the character, much like they've done with Downey Jr. with the Iron Man suits. So this may actually be the only Thor movie I want to see. Because I guess Hemsworth said that he wanted to have a movie basically as fun as Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's what they gave him. So I guess this one's going to feature a lot more humor. And here is the WTF part of the show. As far as these are the dumbest things that are happening, yet people still subscribe to them. There's a show called You the Jury. It's a reality series allowing viewers to serve as jurors, and it takes like your television courtroom scenario, an MTV style, whatever. But Fox is set to combine the primetime reality competition format with the stakes of daytime court show. And it's going to be hosted by Fox News personality and former daytime host Janine Pirro. You the Jury features real civil court cases being argued by recognizable attorneys with viewers voting on the verdict live as the show airs. And I watched this, and this is the most retarded thing in the world. I hope it gets canceled. I'm not a big fan of reality TV, but I think this is just dumb. And it sounds ridiculous, too. But it will concern a current hot-button issue, such as online trolling, limits of free speech, constitutional clash of gay rights with religious freedoms. So they're going to have lawyers such as the one that defended Casey Anthony, which is, I think, I'm going to leave that alone. Distasteful garbage. Yeah, so it isn't expected to be legally binding, but the concept itself is a fair bit dystopian, and I'm reading this from ScreenRant.com, and it makes sense what this guy says, but it's something that you would see on the Running Man's universe more than reality. So, yes, should these cases ever go before an actual trial, one wonders if those folks will be at all swayed by what they may have watched on TV. There's so many things wrong with this concept. I didn't even want to touch on this. I don't. So, speaking of another WTF moment, the other day, Fox interviewed an author, Michael J. Nowell's new book. And it says, Reasons to Vote for Democrats, a comprehensive guide. And it's 266 pages of absolutely nothing. It's clean, blank, snow white pages. Thursday morning, it was number 4 on the slot of Amazon's bestsellers. Today, it's number 1. But it's $9.99 on Amazon, and you can get it paperback on sale for $7.05 or $7.08. it has a huge bibliography at the end, a table of contents, chapter titles, and the cover. And there's literally nothing else in it. And the author says, it took a very long time to research this book. I've been observing the Democratic Party for at least 10 years now. And when I observed their record and reasons to vote for them on reasons of economics or foreign policy or homeland security or civil rights, so on, I was realizing that I was probably best to just leave all the pages blank. And then he says a chapter in civil rights, blank, values, nothing there. The fact that people are buying this, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of certain things of either political party at all. But the fact that people have pushed this to the number one slot on Amazon speaks volumes of the people involved with purchasing it. I mean, I understand it's a joke, depending on what side of the political spectrum you are. Might be an insult to some, but the same token, I don't know who, like, I think it's funny. I would want one. I wouldn't buy one. There's a difference. Because that's like as bad as me saying, all right, I'm going to publish the best how-to on podcasting. And then I print one page that says, just do it. So it would just make no sense. And if people actually paid for it, that would be even more ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. It's I see our world moving closer to the world of Idiocracy, the film. And it kind of makes me a little ill thinking about it. But we've got reality TV court shows coming that are audience, interested. It's basically like the rehabilitation show on there. Wipeout is basically like ow my balls on that. And then you have stuff like this, and it's like, yeah, I'm the Secretary of the Interior. It's just, I don't know. This whole world is reminding me, you've got in Idiocracy, a wrestler becomes president. You got a reality show host that becomes president, much like Running Man. So, I mean, it's sick that history is actually mimicking pop culture in that degree. Like Star Trek, yes, mimic that all day long. Everybody's, the freedoms, the technology, yes, go for it. This is a bit far-fetched to me. So I'm going to move on before this irritates me any further and I start ranting more. So 3D printing has gotten good enough now that Ford is testing it as car parts. And no, you're not thinking like the actual mechanical parts. This is more so for interiors of the vehicles. So like they did an entire center console with this, or a radio setup on it, or the plastics that they put in the car, they're 3D printing with a machine. And it's kind of very interesting of how this is working, but it's, again, it's gradual stacking layers into a finished 3D product. So I think that we're going to see a lot more of this come in the future. They'll be able to do a lot more crazy designs with the 3D printing as opposed to some of the more cookie cutter stuff that human hands have to carve first. So, but they're expecting that with the adoption of 3D printing to reach $9.6 billion worldwide in dollars by 2020 for new areas of application and government support for this technology. Because, I mean, they're already using 3D printers as ways of making replacement organs, prosthetic limbs, working guns, household trinkets. But yeah, it's very interesting times, to say the least. I'm kind of geeked for this. So yeah, last week I talked, about the Tron thing, and I talked about it this week too. Brad Mull says Tron 3, oh please yes, Legacy wasn't as big a failure as John Carter or Tomorrowland. I did like Tomorrowland, but it was a flop. There could have been more to it. It felt kind of flat in a lot of areas, and like there really wasn't. It felt like I was on the same level playing field the entire movie, whereas Tron 3 didn't feel like that. He says, I love the set design, the production 3D, and the score. So I'd love to see the third one get made, get Daft Punk back to score it, and I'm there. Yes, the acting wasn't the best, but all of our favorite films have had bad actors or two in them. Totally true. On all accounts. That to me was one of my favorite films. It's still one of my favorite films. I have to put it in my top 10 still. My top 10 is a revolving door, mind you, but it's at least one of the top 10 that I usually choose. So I'll be right back after a quick commercial break and cover some more content. Do you want to interact with the show? Well, you can get a hold of us in the following ways. You can email us, feedback@alteredgeek.com, or you can fill out the form on the website on alteredgeek.com. You can also get on the episode post on alteredgeek.com and make your comments there. You can, of course, get a hold of us on the social media, Facebook @AlteredGeek, or on Twitter @AlteredGeek. And, of course, you can find the show on the following locations. You can get it on iTunes, on Google Play, on Stitcher, and on TuneIn, Blog Talk Radio, as well as alteredgeek.com. And now, back to the show. So this topic I've touched on a little bit before, and it has to do with the politically correctness. I try and stay away from some of these topics, typically. I saw this one pop up the other day, and it's about Stan Lee. Because the comic book legend was slammed for a tweet he made on International Women's Day, which he meant no distaste, and he's 94 years old. Like, for one, even if you're into this whole politically correct garbage, he's not a product of this time. He's not going to play the politically correct game because it's just not how he thinks. I just step away from it typically. I know what it is. I don't like it. Because anything you say gets, twisted and shoved back down your throat. But I'm kind of curious on what people think about this particular incident, and it's for the International Women's Day on Wednesday, the 94-year-old Marvel Comics icon took to Twitter, and he said, "Remember to celebrate some of the greatest heroes this International Women's Day and every day." And he has what looks like, old school, it says The Superhero Women by Stan Lee. And the cover has, I'm not even sure, it looks like a Jean Grey thing, Wasp. It has Sue Storm, Black Widow, and a couple, Captain Marvel and a couple other characters. So the point is they all look, in the face, they all have the same smile, the same look, pretty much all the same build, and Twitter users were destroying him, saying, "Oh, all hourglass figures, diversity would be great. Why are they all at least C-cup? Thanks for the sentiment. However, this photo shows how far we have left to go." And I was thinking about it in like some of these other people that commented make a lot of sense, like saying, I mean, a superhero isn't exactly going to be overweight, that would make sense. And can you chill on the PC? They're fun and fictional characters, have some fun and enjoy it. Which I kind of agree. Like, it's not that he outwardly said, I'm not going to put any African Americans, I'm not going to put any Asians, I'm not going to, just, those are the characters and their designs and how they were, and that's how he drew them originally, and that's what you got here. Not necessarily saying it's the particularly, like, correct, diversity thing of what everything looks like now, but I think people are just, it's another instance of getting stuff twisted around, and I think it's kind of crap that Stan's catching the short end of the stick there. So, again, it's just, I think that it's pretty strange what's going on with it. So, that's one of the things that, like, I can't stand with, like, the modern internet is the politically correctness and the people bullying other people because of how they think or feel. which is why I also redid that clip that I used for class that I did from a 2012 podcast that Michael Dodd actually predicted, which happened a lot that year, of the 2012 podcast, of the fact that people bully other people over beliefs and over, and personal attacking them for stuff they say when they may not realize that it's offensive to other people, nor are they intending it to be that way. So I some of that I don't get behind at all. I think that people should be considerate of other people in the sense of, politeness, but I don't think that you should have to cower your beliefs because it offends someone else. That's where I find it a little distasteful. So I have gotten the chance to check out Dragon Ball Super. And essentially what I've seen so far is basically the film where it covered this same exact stuff. Like, they just broke up parts of the film, it looks like, and then just expanded it to the television version, or at least cut it up. It's a little strange for me, but they have the party and the boat and the just everything going on with Goku merging powers and fighting. It's so far what I've seen, that's all it is. So I'm waiting for where they actually get into the actual tournaments and actually have the battles and stuff that's not in that. But yeah, I mean, it's been good so far. I've been enjoying it about as much as I have in Star Wars Rebels, where things are ramping up as well. So this week in some of the fun aspects, because I'm an Origin gaming user on the PC now, I have been following, usually because I want to see if they're going to have any specials on certain games or Battlefield or just other content in general. And they had recently a special on the Command & Conquer Westwood Studios games, where you could buy the entire Westwood collection, all 17 games, which is just, they have the games and then their expansions, like all the various forms of the expansions included, for $4.95 or something like that. And I could not believe how cheap, because EA is having a publisher sale right now for 75% off, or up to 75% off. Like Battlefield 1 was $29.99, Titanfall was $23, FIFA 19. You can get the Battlefield 1 Deluxe Edition and the Titanfall for $49. You can get the Deluxe Edition of Battlefield, just the game with the Deluxe is $39. You can get Titanfall for $31. You can get Battlefront for $9.99, or with EA Access for free. You can get Battlefront Deluxe Edition for $13. You can get Battlefield 4 for $4.99. Same thing with Hardline. You can get the Star Wars Battlefront Season Pass for $15. Mass Effect 3 and 7 Digital Edition for $9.99. And then you get the Battlefield Ultimate for $177, which is normally $129.98. And of course, like, you can get all of this stuff. I did the Battlefield 1 Deluxe Edition upgrade that comes with the Season Pass. So it upgrades my game automatically, gives me a bunch of battle packs, gives me a bunch of stuff. But I figure, because the price of the Season Pass never went down, it was still $49.99. The only difference was if you got Deluxe Edition, you got it with it for free. So it gets to upgrade my setup. So that was pretty awesome. So I did that as well as the Command & Conquer 17 game edition. You can get the entire Mass Effect trilogy for $20. That's not bad either, and that's a good series. But yeah, they have a variety of their products all online right now for cheap. Like, if you only need Mass Effect 1, $374. You need Mass Effect 3, $9.99. You need Mass Effect, 2, which I got for free because it was digital download a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I'm really loving how Origin and EA is handling this whole thing. They have like a lot of on the house trials, demos, and betas. Free to play. Like, there's a new Command and Conquer Tiberium Alliances, which you can play right from your browser. I don't particularly like those kind of games. I'd rather just be able to play it at my leisure. But it's an interesting concept. So, but I did already own the Red Alert 2 at one point, because they had that on EA Access Origin for free for on the house a while back, and I downloaded it. But it came with this 17 game pack, so essentially it just added it with it. Did the same thing with Mass Effect 2, but don't know if that helps anybody. Don't know if what systems you guys play. I'm hoping that I can play some of these when I get my new remote and PC set up for my TV. I still haven't, surprisingly, I ordered these things on the 3rd of March, and I still haven't gotten them. So it kind of bothers me a little bit that it's not here yet. Especially when I bought the Blu-ray thing. Mind you, I bought all of this. The Blu-ray, I bought the foldable keyboard, I bought the Smart Mini PC. I bought it all on March 2nd. Placed the order, boom. Well, what was messed up about it is the Memorex Blu-ray player says it shipped a while ago. And it's a little frustrating to me. It shipped on March 3rd. I still don't have it. But it tells me it's going to be here by March 13th. And upon checking, it says it was processed in LA on March 3rd, picked up. It says in transit. It says I'm supposed to have it by the 13th. I'm a little skeptical at this point because I should have had it by now. Like, even for that distance, I should have had it if it was shipped on the 3rd. And then the other thing is the wireless keyboard that folds up like a phone, and is the mini PC, says shipping today. This is the 10th, and it says I'm expected to get that by the 11th. If I get that item before I get the Blu-ray player, which shipped a week ago, it's going to be a little disconcerting. So I'm going to do a review of this stuff and how it works once I get it all set up. But again, it's a little irking to me to not have that at this point. And then soon I get to finish up all my assignments for class, where I have to use video. And then we get to do a fake newscast. So I'm not sure how that's going to go, and I'm not sure who's going to anchor it. I might get stuck with that. I'm not entirely sure. But at the same token, I think I would welcome it because I think I can do it. Because it's just me not really seeing anybody looking at me per se other than classmates, and I'll just have to read off a teleprompter, which I've done before in these type of classes. So, again, it's been fun. And it's been real. So it's been real fun. Yes, I flipped that on its head. So, until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.